Welcome back, everyone. We are doing a full moon horoscope for the full moon in Virgo, which is going to be this Tuesday, March 7th, 2023 at 7:40 a.m. Eastern time. That is at 16 degrees and 40 minutes of the sign of Virgo. This is going to be the last full moon of the astrological year before we move into Aries season, and this is a pivotal time in the astrology, one of the biggest moments in astrology in almost 200 years. So before we go ahead and jump into this full moon horoscope, if you are new here, my name is Leah, aka the Cosmic Rose, and we do astrology, tarot, and spirituality. And if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do that, as well as smash that like button and hit that little bell notification so you can stay up to date on the current astrology, as well as tarot, all sign horoscopes, and spiritual topics. So let's jump into this full moon in Virgo, guys. It is going to be intense, so to speak. You know, there is a lot going on, and if you follow loosely what's going on in astrology overall, you guys probably know that we have two planets. We have Pluto and we have Saturn, both at critical degrees of 29 degrees, and they're getting ready to ingress into new signs. These are both outer planet transits. So when outer planets change signs, it is a lot more of a significant energy than when, say, Mercury, Mars, or Venus change signs, because the outer planets move a lot more slowly. So Pluto especially, and that's why I say it's one of the most pivotal moments in astrology in over 200 years, because Pluto takes over 200 years to transit the solar system and to orbit. So jumping into this full moon, like I said, this is going to be on Tuesday, March 7th at 7:40 a.m. Eastern time at 16 degrees and 40 minutes of Virgo. All right, so jumping into this full moon in Virgo, first and foremost, we have the sun in the lovely sign of Pisces. Pisces is the furthest sign out in the zodiac, and when we think about the axis of Pisces and Virgo, because when we're looking at a full moon, we're looking at an exact opposition with the sun and the moon. So we always have to look at where the sun is at. The sun is in Pisces. It is going to be at 16 degrees, 40 minutes, of course, of the sign of Pisces, where the moon is at 16 degrees, 40 minutes of Virgo. So the axis of Pisces and Virgo is water and earth. It's also the spiritual and the earthly. So when we're looking at a full moon in the sign of Virgo, there is a heavy emphasis on the discrepancies between the earthly realms and the spiritual realms. And to me, this is really a closing out, because when we're talking about full moons, we're entering into the waning phase of the lunar cycle. And this is really about a closing out, overextension in service to others and or in the physical realm in some way, shape, or form. It could also be in regards to your health, because Virgo is a sign of service. It is a sign of health. It is you know, it's the working sign of the zodiac, something in the 3D, especially in regards to service to others. Virgo is definitely known for that. And this is a chance to figure out where we have overextended ourselves, and in turn, turn inward and focus on our spiritual well-being, but also paying close attention to our physical well-being as well. Where have we overextended ourselves physically in service of others, as opposed to in service to our higher power or whatever it is that we believe in? This full moon also highlights some tension, or I would say hyperactivity, because we have a T-square with this full moon, the full moon in opposition, the sun and the moon in opposition, and then we have a T-square with Mars being the outlet. Mars is in Gemini, remember, still in shadow, almost out of shadow, might I add, but Mars is at 21 degrees of Gemini. And this T-square to me is really screaming out a caution to not let your ego and analytical and physical mind make brash decisions for you moving forward, because there's going to be a lot of sensory overload, especially because we have Virgo and we have Gemini in aspect. They are both Mercury ruled signs, and we have Mercury in fall right now. Mercury is in fall in the sign of Pisces, which is actually also trining the South Node. And we all know that the South Node in Scorpio does not mess around. So that is nothing to mess around with, might I add. I'm trying to keep it PG because we are on YouTube. But the T-square with Mars in Gemini, keep in mind this full moon is in Virgo, and Virgo is Mercury ruled. So that T-square to Mars in Gemini, which is still in shadow, also out of bounds, is screaming out, making irrational, ego-based, quick-witted, not really thinking about the spiritual and larger repercussions of our actions. So this is my forewarning to you to really think about things, meditate on things, tap into your upper chakras as opposed to just your lower chakras, and making decisions based on spiritual perspective, not just your ego or your physical perspective. The major aspects I have highlighted for this full moon, first and foremost, we do have a trine from the full moon in Virgo to Uranus in Taurus at 15 degrees. So that's a 1 degree orb. That's a pretty strong aspect going on. And, you know, trines are a harmonious aspect in and of themselves. And Uranus is interesting because Uranus can shake things up and make things unpredictable in many ways. But with the trine, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more bearable, obviously. And the fact that Uranus is in Taurus, this is shaking up the way that we're building things for the future in general. It kind of has that aspect of the Aquarian themes that we've been going through for quite some time now. You know, we're entering into the age of Aquarius, and there is a lot of Aquarian energy. There's a lot of Piscean energy, and there's also a lot of Aries energy in the astrology right now. So we're getting to the end signs of the zodiac and into the beginning signs of the zodiac as far as the personal planets go. But the full moon trining Uranus in Taurus is really shaking up and making us analyze how we have been overextending ourselves, what is good for us on personal levels, and what is good for the collective, and what isn't. Where have we been overextending, overdoing, hurting ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and hurting our, you know, the collective as a whole? In what ways can we reevaluate and make things better going forward? We also have an in conjunction from this full moon in Virgo to Chiron in Aries and Venus in Aries. And Chiron is at 14 degrees and Venus is at 18 degrees in Aries. In conjunctions are when two signs or two planets, it depends on, you know, you can have out of sign aspects, but an in conjunction is basically when you have nothing, when the two signs or planets have nothing in common. They're not the same modality and they're not the same element. So whereas even though a square aspect is technically a quote-unquote bad aspect, they still are the same modality. In conjunctions don't have any of that in common. So there's really no relation in any way, shape, or form. So that major conjunction that we have going on that highlighted a couple days ago, it peaked a couple days ago, the Venus, Chiron, and Jupiter conjunction. Jupiter and Chiron will complete their conjunction next week, I believe. But that really, those themes of the Chiron, Venus, and Jupiter conjunction are going to be completely separate from the themes of this full moon because they are in conjunction or quincunx to the full moon in Virgo. But it is duly noted that that in conjunction can cause some discrepancies because just because they're not necessarily related in the same way, shape, or form, that very principle of not being related can in fact bring relation, if that makes sense. It's kind of like the principle of correspondence in the Hermetic principles, I believe is the correct principle I'm thinking of, because it's like to every truth there is to every negative, there is some positive, I guess is the way that you would word it. But hopefully you guys are picking up what I'm putting down here. We also have Mercury, which is in trine to the South Node in Scorpio. The South Node in Scorpio is at 6 degrees and Mercury is at 7 degrees. I believe, yep, 7 degrees of Pisces. Keep in mind, Mercury is at fall in the sign of Pisces. So our communication style, our intellect, our, I don't want to say our intelligence, but our analytical mind is really not working to the best of its ability on a collective level. I have noticed this myself. I have a lot of water in my chart, so I might be a little bit biased, but I'm also more introverted, and I've just noticed my speech has been a little bit impaired since Mercury has gone into Pisces. It's only been a couple days, but at the same time, I think we've all been kind of feeling this. There's some sort of communication barrier happening in the collective right now, and it's a bit challenging. And then we have that in trine to the South Node. Like I said, we all know that the South Node in Scorpio does not mess around. The South Node has been in Scorpio for some time now, and it seems like no matter which way I look or where I am you know, evaluating the astrology versus personal lives or collective affairs, there is struggle. People are struggling right now. And I think that has a lot to do with the 29-degree planets of Saturn and Pluto, both getting ready to ingress into their new signs at 0 degrees of Aquarius and of Pisces. So I will touch on that. I have touched on that in previous videos. So I will link the Saturn in Pisces video down below for you guys in the description or the pinned comment, because Saturn in Pisces is a huge transit, and if you do have your natal Saturn in Pisces, you will be entering into your Saturn return era. You're definitely going to want to watch the Saturn return / Saturn in Pisces video. Also, everyone's going to want to know what Saturn in the last sign of the zodiac is going to bring, or at least what my perspective on what it could bring going forward. And then we also have Pluto, which is getting ready to ingress into Aquarius, which is a whole different ball game. And it is, ooh, I just got goosebumps, guys. It's really hard to pinpoint exactly how this transit is going to go. All I know is we have no idea what is going to happen, because we haven't been aware that that Pluto was a planet the last time Pluto was here, because it takes almost 250 years for Pluto to transit the solar system or orbit the solar system. So the other major aspect I wanted to mention is Sun sextile Uranus. So this is just emphasizing the Piscean and the Aquarian themes even more so, I believe, because Uranus rules Aquarius, and the Sun, wherever the Sun is at in transiting astrology, is really where the focal point of the collective energy is at. We are at the end of the zodiac. We're getting ready to go into Aries season. Aries season is the first season of the astrological year, and there's heavy emphasis on the spiritual in Pisces season, whereas in Aries season, when we move into the new astrological year, the focus is on self and motivation and moving forward through the ego. Pisces is delusion of the ego. And with the sextile from the Sun to Uranus and Taurus, this is connecting the spiritual to what we want to build towards the future and how we can move forward and blend the two realms together in new and unique ways. 10-10 on my timer, by the way. But yeah, this is a crazy full moon, guys. I'm actually, you know what, I'm kind of pumped. It's kind of exciting, because we do have Saturn ingressing into the sign of Pisces within an hour. Guys, there is no coincidences in astrology. Astrology does not lie. Saturn is ingressing into the sign of Pisces within the hour of the full moon. So you guys are definitely going to feel a major energy shift going from Monday the 6th to Tuesday the 7th. Without a doubt, you guys are going to feel something. Whether good, bad, I don't know. It depends how it's aspecting in your personal natal chart. But, you know, especially because we do have this Jupiter, Chiron, Venus conjunction in the sign of Aries, there's heavy emphasis on a shift here, a major shift. And I cannot emphasize enough for you guys to really tap into the spiritual and, you know, utilizing things like meditation, prayer, breath work especially would be extremely helpful. Some anxiety might be heightened at this time, and I would just really tap into the use of spiritual tools, especially being Pisces season, being a full moon in Virgo. There could be overextension in the physical, there could be more anxieties heightened, and I just feel like it's definitely a time to focus more on spiritual. So I am going to pull some tarot cards for the collective. I'm not going to do collective reads anymore, but I am doing all sign tarot horoscopes. So go check out your Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus tarot readings. And then I'm also coming out with pick a card readings as well. So keep your eyes open for those. We're just going to pull maybe one card and a clarifier for the collective for the full moon in Virgo. And we have the Knight of Wands. So, you know, I feel like this is a lot about going forward and moving forward into things that we're very passionate about. And let me get a clarifier here. Oh, Page of Cups. Because when I pulled the Knight of Wands card, the first thing that came to my mind was the T-square for some reason. I had the picture of the T-square with Mars and Gemini, and this Knight of Wands could really be emphasizing that internal drive to want to take action from the ego or things that we think we're passionate about. And then clarifying by the Page of Cups, I feel like this is confirmation to really tap into your heart-centered energy, because Pisces is a water sign. Page of Cups centers on things coming from the heart. It is an innocent energy getting ready to move into Aries season, the new astrological year, but it is still heart-centered, and it is centered in the element of water. One more clarifier. The Two of Wands, and I think this is just emphasizing again to really start making plans for the future. Not necessarily taking action though with the Knight of Wands here. I feel like this is really making plans that are heart-centered to move forward in the future, but it is not quite time to step foot into those new passions or adventures or endeavors, so to speak, until we get to the 0 point of at least Saturn in Pisces. So I hope this helps for the full moon in Virgo, guys. If you guys have any personal transits going on with this full moon in Virgo, I would love to hear about them. Comment them down below. And I hope you guys all have a lovely full moon in Virgo. I will see you guys on the next one. I love you.